Welcome to my tutorial on how to make sushi. Let's get started. So first you want to measure out and wash your rice. I have 3 cups of rice here, and I use the Black & Decker Rice Cooker Plus, and it comes with a little 1 cup plastic cup that tells you how much 1 cup is, and then you measure it out, put it in here, and I'll get to that part in a moment, but first you want to measure out your rice and wash it. This part is really important. You want to make sure you wash out your rice to get all the dust residue off so that it doesn't taste bad once it's cooked. So wash it out, get rid of the water, put it into your rice cooker. Once it's in there, this rice cooker actually has lines on it that shows you the liquid level. So this one has liquid level for other rice and brown rice. You're going to want to use the other rice level. I put 3 cups of rice in there, so you just want to put the water in and measure it out and make sure that it's at the level of the amount of cups of rice that you used. So for me, that's at 3, and that's about right there. So then you put it in your rice cooker. Plug in your rice cooker, push the button down, and let it cook. After you wet your bowl, you put all of your rice into this bowl. Once you have all of your rice out of the rice cooker, you want to take some rice vinegar of your choice and add it to your rice. About a tablespoon or so. Then you take a wooden spoon that is wet and you mix in the rice vinegar into your rice and you let that cool. While your rice is cooling, you can get your bamboo rolling mat ready by covering it in plastic. So you want to just do a couple layers of plastic each way on the mat. A little bit more and flip it again. Then you want to do the same thing but in the other direction on the mat. So do one more. Now you have your rolling mat ready to go. You're going to want to prepare your seaweed paper. Now these have lines in it going this way, so you want to cut across the lines and cut it in half. Alright, now you want to make sure that your knife is sharp. Make sure that when you go to the store to buy your salmon, that you ask the person working there to take the skin off your salmon so that both sides are clean and you don't have to take off the skin yourself. And when you get the salmon, before you start cutting, make sure you debone it. To prepare the salmon, you're going to want to make decisive cuts to choose which parts you're going to use for what. I will be cutting off this part here for the hand rolls. I'll be cutting this in half, this in half, this in half. These pieces are for my hand rolls. Now, you're going to want to make your cuts for your actual rolls. What I'm going to do is cut this about in half down the center. Cut it into thick slices, like this, and then I'm going to cut the slices in half. you'll be using these pieces for your rolls. Now, you want to cut your nigiri. So your nigiri, you're going to use this piece here that I have cut, and you're going to take it and slice it down the front like this. And then you have a piece that you can use for nigiri. You just want to repeat that process until you have as many slices as you need for the amount of nigiri you want. Now you're going to want to take a smaller knife and cut up your other ingredients. So you can start with your avocado, and the best way to do this is to slice down the center of the avocado like that. Take out your seed like that. I like to cut off the tips. Now once you've done that, you just peel back the skin. So if you've chosen the right avocado, this should be quite simple to get the skin off. This one's quite nice. If it's not ripe enough, you'll find that the skin will be really difficult to get off, and if it's too ripe, then you'll find the avocado will start coming off with the skin. Now that you have your pieces, I like to cut some slices off the top. This is for my rainbow roll, which I'll show you how to make after. Make sure you're very gentle with this because these slices rip very easily. Make sure you keep them fairly thin. Now you're going to slice the avocado, and you want to keep pieces fairly large. I find with sushi it's nice to have big pieces so that you can taste the ingredients and not just the rice. So you do that, and every now and then you'll get little pieces that you can't use because of the hole in the center. And do the same thing until the entire avocado is cut up. I put my avocado here with my hand rolls, and then I put all of the avocado in each roll laid out that I'm going to be making. Now that your ingredients are prepared and your rice is cooked and cooled, you're going to want to prepare your wasabi, and then we'll start assembling the sushi. So to prepare the wasabi, you just buy a little can of wasabi like this. You can get it at the grocery store or any health food store. So you take some of the wasabi and put it into a dish. Then you add a little bit of water to the dish, and you mix up your wasabi with the water. To get a good consistency, you don't want it to be too liquidy, and you don't want it to be too thick either. You want it to be easy to pick up with the chopsticks. So I think this is a good consistency here actually. So we'll go with this. It looks like that, so it's not too liquidy. I can form it. So that's that. You're now ready to roll. We'll start with the nigiri. So for this, you're going to want a bowl. You're going to want to fill the bowl with warm water. This water is for your hands. Now that your wasabi is made, you're going to start making the nigiri. So you wet your hands so that the rice doesn't stick. You take some of the rice, and you shape it in your hand into like a little kind of oval rectangular shape like this. See it better here. Once you have that shape, take a little bit of wasabi and you place it on top. Then you take a piece of salmon, place it on top of the nigiri, place it in your hand like this. You put this hand on top and you shape it like that, and then you have a little nigiri. Now that your nigiri is done, we're going to start with the rolls. So I'll start with the normal roll. So what you're going to do is put your piece of paper on your rolling mat like this, and then you're going to wet your hands. You always want to wet your hands before you touch the rice. You're going to take some rice, a good chunk of rice, and you're going to smush it down onto the paper. You don't want it to be too thick because you don't want to just be eating all rice when you have your sushi cut up. But you want it to be thick enough that it gives it some substance. You want to fill the rice up to about here. So you want to leave about 1/4 of the paper showing. Your roll is going to look like this. And then you're going to place your ingredients onto your roll. So I had my ingredients already laid out. You want to put them about 1 inch in from the edge here. Once that's done, you want to carefully lift with your fingertips the edge, hold on to your ingredients, and flip it over. Then you're going to want to push down like this and pull this part with this hand. So you're rolling with your right hand and pulling with your left hand until you get to the end where you can see this part here. Then you want to start rolling. I like to squeeze out as well to keep it even. You want to roll with just enough tension that you're not pushing the rice or the ingredients outside of the edges. Then you open it up and you have your first roll. Now we'll be moving on. We'll be starting with the inside out roll. For the inside out roll, you want 1/2 a sheet of the nori paper. So you place it like this with the shiny side down and the rough side up. You wet your hands, and you take some rice. Now you want to fill this side of the paper with the rice. Once you have your sheet of nori covered in rice, you want to flip it and put it rice side down onto your rolling mat. Then, to wet your hands, take some rice and put a strip of rice along the bottom edge of your roll, right here. About 1/4 inch of rice right here. Then, you're going to take your ingredients and place it in the little crack in between where you made your rice line and the end of the nori, like so. And then you're going to do the same technique with the thumbs, holding the ingredients and flipping it over. Again, the same technique for rolling with your right hand and pulling with your left till you see this line, and then you roll, making sure that no ingredients are coming out the edges. Then you have a roll that looks like this. Now, you might notice that your roll has little pieces where you can see the nori. You don't want that because then when you cut it, it's going to break, and when you try to dip it in soy sauce, it's going to fall apart. So what you want to do is wet your hands and take some rice and just cover the line that you can see with the rice. Once the line has been covered, you move your roll back to the edge. You flip your rolling mat over, you roll it up, and you roll again. After you've rolled it, unroll the mat, and you have a nice inside out roll. Now I'm going to show you how to make a hand roll. For the hand roll, you're going to need 1/2 a sheet of the nori paper. You're going to place it down with the shiny side down and the rough side facing up. You're going to wet your hands, and you're going to take a ball of rice, not too big. You're going to place it in the center, and you're going to make an upside down triangle shape. It doesn't have to be perfect, just generally smaller at the bottom and wider at the top, like this. You're going to take some wasabi and run it down the center. You're going to take your ingredients, place it in the center of the roll, turn it, and start rolling like this. When you get to the end, you want to wet the end of the roll with water so that when you close it, it's going to stick. And then you roll and apply pressure like this until it is sealed. It takes a couple times, so just roll back and forth until it's sealed, like that. This is called a rainbow roll. It's just alternating between different toppings of your choice. I use avocado and salmon, and you place a little bit of wasabi underneath just to hold it on. Once you're done assembling all of your sushi, making your rolls and your hand rolls and your nigiri, you're going to sharpen the knife that you use to cut your salmon. And now it's time to cut the rolls that you made. You're going to want to have a glass of hot water, a tall glass of hot water, and a towel. You're going to use the towel to wipe off in between each cut so that your cuts are nice and clean. We'll start with the regular roll. You're going to place your roll. You're going to wet your knife, dry your knife, wet it, and cut. You're going to wet your knife and cut. Wet your knife and cut. And in between each cut, make sure you're wetting your knife, wiping it off on the towel, and wetting it once again. This ensures that you get nice clean cuts like this. If you don't clean your knife in between, you'll get messy cuts and your rolls will start breaking. Now I'm going to show you how to cut the inside out roll. So, you take your inside out roll and you place it like so. You clean your knife, and I like to sharpen my knives in between each roll that I'm cutting. Just make sure that it keeps it nice and sharp so that my cuts are nice and clean. Wet it, clean it, wet it again. And for these rolls, because there's rice on the outside, you want to also wet your fingers so that the rice doesn't get stuck to your fingers when you cut it. These you also want to cut a little bit thicker than the other roll, just so they don't fall apart. Show you from this angle so you can see the size I'm cutting it. About that big. Like so. Clean your knife in between, wet it, wet your fingers, and make your cut. I'm going to sharpen my knife, wet it once again, wet my fingers, and I like to make these cuts a little bit larger than the other cuts so the ingredients stay on top and the rice doesn't fall apart. So, like so. And make sure you're using nice, slow forward back motions. Don't try to just go through in one full cut because you'll break it and ruin your roll. I like to space it out so that some pieces get just avocado, some get salmon, and some get both. Once you're done making your sushi, this will be your final product.
I can vouch that this is some amazing sushi.
That was my video on how to make sushi. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I explained everything well. If you have any questions, I'm just a FaceTime, a text, or a call away.
I wonder what would happen if you say what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave with what you want to say.
Now you're going to take your mango and slice off one side of the mango. Shit. Won't be using mango.